questions for Juwan.
So where is the golden glitter basketball?
Sitting on my beanbag, just sitting nice and pretty with my hat on top of it, stuff like that. I'm waiting for my mom. She got a frame for me for sure, so definitely getting that frame, no doubt.
Well, when you look back on this season, a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and everything in between, I guess what are you most proud of about your final season?
This is why I overcame. If anyone know, like I dealt through injuries throughout majority of my college career, from ACL, shoulder, sinus fracture in my face, stuff like that. But the one thing I can say I'm proud of myself is I never gave up. I never had ever had one day where I felt like I'm not giving my best or giving my all. No matter how down my days are, no matter how high they are, for sure. I stay evenly odd for sure, consistently. So I'm definitely proud of just the progress I made throughout the years of not only here but just overall basketball in college. I started as a freshman at Alabama, but in that senior in Nebraska, and you can't ask for nothing better than that. I'm still shocked to this day that we won a championship. It's something that I'm always gonna be respected by, stuff like that. It's always something I'll be remembered for as the MVP. But I'm always gonna remember this moment of just seeing the guys, seeing Fred, seeing Husker Nation, just how proud they are of us of just winning that first ever college basketball championship. That means a lot. I'm pretty sure next year or the year after that, the guys gonna come back here during the big time game of the season, and we're gonna be proudful just to be honored by Husker Nation about just winning that first championship in Vegas. So I'm very proud for just how I overcame a lot of obstacles and a lot of adversity for sure.
What have these past few days been like for you, kind of coming down from Las Vegas and the realization that now your college career is over, this chapter of your life?
Still taking it in. I was just talking to my mom about that yesterday. I said, Mom, I can't believe my college basketball career is over now. But she are you sad? I'm saying no, I'm more happy. I couldn't ask for any end result. We won the championship. I got MVP. I saw the guys that I knew all year that could have made an impact, but didn't have a chance to get on the court. For Kel Jacobson is one person I'm actually pinpointing on. I'm still gonna say to this day, Kel is my MVP of the tournament. I'm just so proud of what he overcame throughout the whole year. Kel really came in Vegas with the mindset he gonna change the game, and that's what he did. Everybody consider me as a game changer. The person that's the glue guy. Do the dirty work, dive on the floor. Rebound. Play defense, stuff like that. But Kel's a versatile player. Kel could play the 1 through 5. Guard the 1 through 5. His IQ is very high for sure. A very smart player. But in the day, Kel's a hard worker. So just that moment of that time, I told Kel's girlfriend, I was on behalf of me, he got an MVP for sure. I'm very proud of what he overcome. So next year, I'm gonna be watching every Kel. I'm gonna get a Kel jersey for sure. I need a Kel Jacobson jersey. So and the other guys Aaron Ewers, we know Aaron didn't have the year that he wanted to have, but he finished out very strong. He had one game in the tournament that we needed him, play defense, stuff like that. He came in, I think he had 8 and 5. That was a big game for him, stuff like that. Seeing him not ever pouting upset about not playing a lot this year, what means a lot, because that's a brother to me. I'm pretty sure I saw that everybody on the team, me and him connected and bond more than anybody. So we talk more than anything for sure about what he sees and what he thinks about how the season going. But one thing I definitely told him, just keep your head up, bro. You're going to have an opportunity to step on this court and show what you're capable of. And, Vegas was the one thing he did. He showed capable of what he is, a true point guard. And I'm very proud of him. I can't wait to see what his next journey going to be for sure. All these guys, Rowe, Andrew, Braxton, Bryce, all the seniors that's, not going to be here next year. I'm very proud of them, the leadership and how we own up to all that for sure. So I'm going to miss his program. I'm going to miss these group of guys, but Nebraska always gonna have that key spot in my heart always.
I was gonna ask you, in this portal age, a lot of guys don't finish their last 3 years at one program. Is that extra special to you, like you just said, that you are connected to Nebraska, you will have that bond 20, 25 years from now?
Man, as you see this transfer portal generation, you'll see guys legit transfer 3 to 4 times and just trying to find their home. At that fourth school, this is my second school. That shows my loyalty. If I'm comfortable with you, if I'm comfortable with coaching staff, the environment, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be all in everything. And that's what Nebraska, is for me. I call this my home. My first year, it was kind of rough because I never knew what Nebraska was. Midwest, I'm a Southern kid, so 20 hours away from the crib. So, it's kind of a new environment, kind of a new feel for me. But once I got, comfortable, once I settled down, actually like, okay, I actually could be myself out here, and people gonna love that. That's when stuff started getting fun for me. So the loyalty of just being here and finishing my college career, 3 years here, like I couldn't ask for anything else. I wouldn't be nowhere else. I don't think I would love to go anywhere else because in the day you can't ask for a better head coach. You can't ask for better teammates. Like I said, a better fan base. I'm pretty sure we got one of the best fan bases in the nation. So like you said, the transfer portal, it's a thing. Like it's a big thing now for sure because I feel like a lot of people not only looking for the comfortability of playing, but money is taking over college basketball. NIL is taking over college basketball. So that's what a lot of guys looking at too. But for me, I'm looking for what's going to get me to the next journey, my next step for sure. What's going to prepare me for my next journey, and that's what Nebraska did, and I'm always going to be grateful for it.
Along with that, a while back, Bryce kind of gave a sales pitch for future transfers that might be looking at Nebraska. What coming to Nebraska did for him as someone who went from a high major to another high major at Nebraska. What would your message be to potential transfer recruits about what Nebraska could do for them?
Anybody who's looking to even, put their name in the portal, I will always say, look at Nebraska. You just gotta see on the back end of what Nebraska bring. Like we have a lot of, NBA guys who actually been in the NBA, played, coach, strength conditioning, like who actually got the, all the knowledge that we need to be pros. And every day it's a pro day like thing. So practice a pro day like, lifting, nutrition, sleep, everything we do is pro. So if you want to be professional, no matter if NBA, overseas, G League, whatever, Nebraska's going to fit that for you. Because we treat ourselves like the pros, and coach always preach, if you want to be a pro, act like it, play like it, practice like it. Anything we do is going to be pro-like. So anybody who transferring or anything like that, I would definitely consider Nebraska be a first option. Not because I play here, but just if you want to be a professional, that's where it is. And I would I never knew who Bryce was. I'm from South Carolina. I didn't know who Bryce Williams was for sure. And this seeing the transformation of the first year he was here to the second year, his last year, like it's an unbelievable thing. I told him after the term, I said, I can't wait till I have kids. I'm like, yeah, your Uncle B, he was one of them for sure. He was one of them guys. So, man, that's just, I'm so grateful of even calling him a teammate and even calling him a brother. Me and him relationship is way beyond basketball, like, a phone call away, stuff like that. Like, I love Bryce to this day, and I'm grateful for everything he helped me with, and I'm, very proud of his journey he's going to have for sure.
After that game, you guys had a pretty long embrace at midcourt. What was kind of the emotions going through you guys? As soon as the game ended, you guys are hugging there as champions.
It's the last time we're in a Husker jersey together, man. When me and him decided to come back, we knew that we had to beat them guys for sure. We knew we had to, beat them leaders, and that's what we did. Like you said, we had some downs this year, but that's not only basketball, it's life. You always gonna have a downs to life, but it's just how you overcome with that. And when we decided to play in this tournament, that was the main thing. Like, okay, we want to go out with a happiness, and that's what it was. Like, it was nothing more than that. We're gonna go out our last games as, okay, winners, happiness, stuff like that. Just a smile on our face for sure. So that's what it was, and I couldn't ask for a better end result of the season at all. Like, everything was meant to happen, stuff like that. And, we got momentum now. It's going to next year. We got a lot of good guys. Like, we got Jamar back, which I'm very proud of for sure. So, we got a guy who actually been in the system before and know how Coach Fred is, how the staff is, stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure his voice going to be a meaningful thing to Fred for sure too. So, everything this year was a great thing. Everything was joyful for thing. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of wins for sure. Shout out to Creighton. That's another big time win for me, yeah, for sure. But this year I couldn't ask for a better year at all.
Do you know what the immediate future will look like for you, like where you're gonna train and that sort of thing?
As of right now, just settling in now. Just first day I'm finishing up school. That's one of the main things I'm actually focused on right now. Graduation is coming up next month, so I'm finishing up my internship hours. Getting a lot of my schoolwork done now. So, but probably in the next month or so, I'll be somewhere around here, Midwest for sure. Just, training, working out, stuff like that, connecting with people, just getting my body right for the next step. So that's one thing I can't wait to be. I can't wait to be the student of the game again. All year I've been, the leader, the coach, and stuff like that on the court, stuff like that. But now I get to legit revert back to, being a student. I can't wait to be that.
What do you think you can be able to bring to an NBA organization, NBA roster at the next level?
Just my heart. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a 5-star. I don't care if you a superstar. I don't care who you is in the day. Like, I'm going to guard you as best as I can. I'm going to give you 110% on the court. I'm going to make sure I'll make the game difficult. Because in the day, I know I'm not the most elite scorer. I know I'm not the best shooter. But in the day, I'm a hooper. I'm a hooper that do everything. I'm a hooper that's going to give you 110% on the offense and defensive end. So, I'm not looking to go on the NBA roster to make a big drastic change. Like, no, I know it's going to be a progress for me to even, get on the floor of the NBA floor for sure. So that's, like I said, I can't wait to be the student of the game again. Like, I legit learn from veterans who've been in the league for, 10 years, 5+ years, stuff like that. So, I can't wait to see what the future has for me. I pray every day to see what the next step going to be. Now I'm going to continue to do that and see what God leads for me for sure.
Where do you think you talk about going back to being a student of the game? How do you think that benefited you this year of having to kind of be in a different role, be that leader, and not have to focus on something else? I guess.
Using my voice. I would say like my first few years in college, like I really wasn't a talker. Like, I keep a lot of stuff to myself. Like, I see things but never say it. But now, like, going to your last year, like, being here for 3 years, like, a lot of guys, especially this year, we had a lot of transfers. So it was kind of new to the system. Like, it was kind of new to the Big Ten for sure. So, of course, they're asking me questions. They ask me how to do certain things. So, of course, I got to use my voice. I know it's different from a coach view, from a player's stand view. Like, we on the court, we see everything a lot different from a coach, too. So what's better not just go ahead and talk to your teammates, talk to your brother about, certain things like that. But at the end of the day, I'm a leader. I'm a senior, so I gotta be able to step up and use my voice. No matter how a game go, practice go, a day go for me, like, it's never a bad day I can have just to be quiet. I gotta always use my voice. So one thing about this year, my voice has drastically improved a lot, and it's gonna carry on to the next journey of mine.
Juwan, when you look back at the Crown Tournament, how'd you guys win?
Be us. That's all I could say. We've been us. We didn't do anything special. We went out there to play Nebraska basketball, which is a hard, grit team. Sam Hoiberg, Cale Jacobson, Aaron Eulis, like Andrew Morgan, like everybody who stepped in that court impact the game in different ways, and that's all you could ask for. Like, we played hard every game, no matter if we was down 12 or 8. You didn't see one face down at all. You didn't see nobody pouting. You didn't see nobody body language was bad. Because we've been here all year. We've been in this position all year where we down 10, down 15, but between the Crown Tournament and the beginning of the season, it was in the season we was trying to figure out how can we get over this hump. But in Vegas, we knew, like, it's either win or go home, and we did not want to go home at all. Like, what's better not to be a week in Vegas, enjoying the time and stuff like that. So that's the only thing I can say about us. Just playing Nebraska basketball, nothing more.
Anything else for Juwan?
Have you worn it yet?
I have not, Wilson. Yeah, I wore it out in Vegas. The rest of it.
Seamus wore it and you didn't?
I know, at any rate.
Sorry, Seamus.
Once you're ready, we'll open the floor for questions for Coach.
That's Juwan, I guess when you look back at this season, all the highs and lows that
Yeah.
you guys went through to end it the way that you did, I guess what are you personally most proud of just what this team accomplished?
Yeah, the thing I'm most proud of with this group is just how we hung together all the way through the end. And, not a lot of teams stayed intact going into the postseason. And I mean, even some NCAA tournament teams lost kids going into the postseason. So, the fact that we all stayed together, I think, shows, first of all, the character of our guys and, the culture that was in place. And we found a way, even, especially when you ended the season with 5 consecutive losses. I mean, to stay together, that's saying something about your guys and your leadership. And, I'm really proud of how, specifically Bryce stood up in front of the team in the film room that day and said, guys, we're doing this thing. We're going to be all in, both feet in, and we're going to go down there to compete for a championship. And that's what we did, and found a way, through some adversity, being down double digits in a couple of those games, and found a way to rally and went out on a high note. And that's what I'm most proud of. It would have been devastating, I think, for guys like Juwan and Bryce, who had such a positive impact on this program, to end if it would have ended with the 5 straight losses. And for them to go out, one of whatever it is, 4 teams that ended their season with a win, and a good feeling and put a little bit of cheese in their pockets, Robin. That was a good thing. And, again, I'm just proud of the guys for how they found a way to stay together, throughout the end of the year and end the year the way that we did.
You talked about going into the Crown, wanting to go into the off-season with good taste and everything. Now that you've got that, like what do you get from that, from having
Yeah, it does. It gives you momentum, and a lot of people watched. When you look at the numbers on Fox, the viewership, I mean, it was very high. So, it was, for us to create positive momentum going into the off season was very important. And even, as we did Zooms throughout that whole week, and continue on with it, the people that we're talking to, they watched it, and we played well. We had that thing moving, offensively, defensively. I thought we had some really good stretches in that game, in those 4 games, and we found a way to put it together on both ends of the floor. And again, when you look at our last couple of years, I think we were top 3 in the league in wins in February and March. This year, obviously, was the exception to that, the way that it ended with the 5 straight losses. But to be able to win at the end of the year, similar to what we've done the last couple of years, to put ourselves in a pretty good position, I think one speaks volumes to your guys on how they wanted to go out. But as far as exposure, this was a great event for us. And when you look at the numbers, besides the NCAA tournament, I mean, it was by far the most viewership going into this. So that's important. It was important for the recruits that we had to see it. And I think you've seen some pretty good signings for us to replace some really good players. So I'm excited already going into next season. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting a little break when we do get our roster finalized, which I don't know when that'll be. But I think you can hear it in my voice. I always this time of year get a little under the weather, but it was a fun tournament. It wasn't because I went out all night after the last game.
I don't know what you can talk about as far as additions, but with what you've added and what you've lost through the portal thus far.
Can I talk about the 4 guys? You sure? Luca? Okay.
Before you get into specifics, I guess just in totality of the additions and then the attrition that you've gone through, I guess, how do you feel that you've kind of survived the early part of the portal year?
Yeah. I'll talk about the additions first of all with Price Sanford, obviously a guy that we've known well and that we recruited hard the first go around. And I've known the Sanford family for a long time. Peyton and Price both went to my camp when I was in Ames. And I think you saw the picture with Price on the graphic, and it's pretty cool. He was our number 1 guy when we recruited him coming out of Waukee, and it's a great addition. When you look at his numbers, they're very similar to what Peyton's were his first 2 years at Iowa, and what he did at the end of the season, the way he shot the ball. Obviously that's one area where we need to improve. Now, if we would have shot it like we did the last couple games of the Crown all year, we would have been competing against Florida, I think, in that last game. But, it was for us, yeah, shooting was a big priority going into this off season. So, to get that position addressed and somebody that can step in. And, and again, they get to play with Rink, and that was attractive to a lot of the guys that we talked about. And you look at our shooting numbers and our paint point numbers, they were much higher the year before because you had a guy that had gravity. You had to guard Rink on the perimeter, and his ability to pass by leading us in assists was huge. You look at Jamarcus, what he did with with this year, the way he shot the ball, almost 40%. Was a starter all year, has been a starter in our program, knows everything about it, the offensive and the defensive systems. Great kid that that we're really excited to have back in our program this year. So those are a couple big pickups in our backcourt, and they can both handle the ball and they can both initiate our offense for us. And that's what I liked about Price coming out of high school and watching him in AAU is he can handle the ball, he can play in pick and roll. He's not just a one-dimensional three-point shooter. He's got a lot in his game, and he's more athletic, I think, than people realize. Our big guy, we'll just call him Oogie. He's a kid that averaged, 17 points, over 7 rebounds in a good league. And in talking to people that coached against him, people that I really trust, and people on our staff that talk to people in that league, we're getting a really good player that can score it on the block. He was 3 for 3 from 3 against Minnesota in their game this year, played actually some of his best basketball against the top competition. And, another guy, we need up-front help, and we need depth, and we need physicality, and we need rebounding, and he can certainly help in that area. So yeah, I'm really excited about bringing Oogie on board as well. Yeah, Will. Okay, so Will did. Yeah, so I'm excited about Will. I mean, he had a game where he hit 7 threes this year at Air Force, and again, when you talk about our need of shooting and the guys that he's going to be playing with, and being able to play more in the spread this year with Rink and with Oogie and with BK, and yeah, he's a guy that can just straight stretch the floor. And a great kid and a great family, and excited to have him on board as well.
When you have more commitments, I mean, 5 days, 6 days that you had, how much does that validate sort of the message that you guys are giving to these guys about the state of the program, the culture, and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it really it's been Zoom calls. That's where we've found a way to sell what we have to offer. And it was a lot of work when we were out in Vegas. When we were not in a film session, generally we were on a Zoom call, and we were on plenty of others that we didn't end up getting. But the guys that we've added, we are. First of all, they fit who we are. They fit the culture of our program, and they're all guys that have a very high level of skill to their game. And we're hoping to hear on a couple others here soon. We've got some other holes to fill certainly, but it's been a really good start for the beginning of the portal season. And we're going to keep working. Obviously, I'm still got a coach to hire. The search process is going well, and hope to get that finalized here soon.
When you're going through the portal and this time of year, do you have to decide what to value, what attributes you want to look for? I guess how do you strike that balance of what you're looking for and what kind of identity you want to have next?
Yeah, certainly we've been together a lot as a staff and talked about the needs that we have to address with the guys that we lose, and we lose all of our ball handling. Really the guys that facilitated offense for us with Bryce, with Raleigh, with Aaron. We're really the three guys that handled it, and all three had I thought productive years for us. So to have to replace that, yes, that was number one, is to find somebody that can initiate offense for us. Now at the same time, you get Rink back, and I think everybody that's watched us play the year before knows what Rink was able to do to help us get into an offense. And before that, it was Derek, and certainly had some guys at Iowa State that I had that could handle the ball in the front court, so that's very helpful. You don't maybe need a pure point guard per se, and we've got a lot of guys that can initiate. Cale Jacobson certainly showed that he can get the ball up the floor and get us into an offense as well. Sam, had times as well, and so we I guess to answer your question, Wilson, we have identified what we need as a team. Front court depth was a big part of that with Oogie, and then shooting. And again, getting Price, I really think he's one of the best shooters on the market, and couldn't be excited about all four of those guys.
With this last week,
Back to that trophy and what your team accomplished over the past week, what did that championship mean for this program, and some of the emotions you felt Sunday night, do you still feel them, 3 days later?
Yeah, I do. It's special. I mean, when you look back on the history of the program, one of the best years was when they won the NIT championship, and you just don't have an opportunity a lot of times at the end of the year to go out on top as a winner. And the goal obviously for our team was to make it to the NCAA tournament. It didn't happen, and for us to be able to go out and win a championship, especially the way we did it. I'll say this, the Husker fans were incredible down there. And, if it weren't for Nebraska, I don't know how well attended that event would have been. But, it was fun to share it with so many people, passionate people that had a huge role in us coming back. I mean, I think you could see it on the TV feed. We had a lot of people there that were very instrumental during that, whatever it was, 42-17 run to finish that game. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. This event is going to continue to take off, I'm telling you. And to be the winner of the inaugural Crown tournament is something that we're all going to look back on. And shoot, I don't know, maybe they'll bring us back one day when we're older for me. But when those guys get a little older and recognize this team, and to have back-to-back 20-win seasons, that hasn't happened since the '90s. So it's pretty cool. And the way it ended, again, I'm so proud of our guys, and I'm happy for them the way it went out. Because say what you want. I mean, we talked about this going into the tournament. The feeling when we won that Hawaii tournament, that was great, and it was awesome. The guys celebrated in Honolulu after that game, and, it's just something you share with your teammates when you win a championship. I still talk to the guys I won a state championship with at Ames High School back in '91, and, it's just something that you don't forget, whatever it is, NCAA, NIT, Crown, CIT, I mean, those are special moments.
with the week that Cale had, obviously a great week for him, but does that change like the vision that you had or have for him moving forward in the program?
Well, I've talked a lot about Cale and, the confidence that I have in him. And, it's just one of those situations, like when you look at Sam and Jamarcus, they really got their opportunity when Bandamel and Gary went down a couple years ago. And then when you look at this year and even last year, we didn't really have anybody go down at his position where he was going in there. Now, I put him in that Arizona State game because of the couple weeks that he had leading into that. And I was going to give him minutes regardless. And he went in there and had a huge impact on the Arizona State win. And then we started him because I felt that he deserved it. And certainly it paid off for us. And the thing that he did, knocking down the shots, that three he hit on the pull-behind play when we started stretching, and then the floater that he hit at, I think to put it to 8 or 10. And, I could not be happier for Cale because of the type of kid he is. He's never one time complained. He worked all year for that opportunity, and he gets it, and he took full advantage of it. And yes, he belongs in our rotation. There's no doubt about it. He showed that, and going into next season. And the thing about Cale, when you say what is he, what number is he? He's not a number. He's a player. He's a basketball player. He's a hybrid. He can play any spot on the floor, and he knows every spot on the floor. He knows the other team's plays. Even on the bench, if he wasn't in the game, he still would call out what the other team was running. And I'll never forget this in the UCLA game. He told Raleigh the exact play, and Raleigh had his thumb up his butt, and he ran out to the corner and, ended up contesting a shot that was a huge play in that game because Cale knew what the action was. So, he was phenomenal, and I'm proud of him, and I'm looking forward to our future together.
With Jamarcus, how different are conversations in Zoom calls with a player that you're familiar with that knows the program you play?
Yeah, he talked about, he had a great year. And, I think it was beneficial for him to go and start and be, a guy that they went to in over the course of games and over the course of the season. And that's going to benefit him coming back here now. But the great thing about it is he knows exactly what to expect coming back. And, not only the offense, but he knows the defense and the pace that we want to play with. He was, when I look back on it, the Indiana game, the tournament games that we had in the Big Ten, he was really good and really effective and played his best, I thought, at the end of the season. So we missed him a lot this year, and everybody to a man in our program is excited to bring him back on board, and he's excited as well. I do think he missed some elements of the program, and getting him back is exciting for all of us.
We've all seen the value of ranking. Did you sense some guys you talked to in the portal, like Price maybe, saw like how he can benefit?
Yeah, and Price obviously played against Rink last year and saw what he can do. But believe me, every Zoom, every style of play edit had Rink on it because of what he can do, his passing ability, how it opens up the lane, and we generally don't clog up the paint, with the big down there. And if you got a guy that could cut, we miss that. We get 3-4 layups a game a year ago because of Rink's ability to play make, and to have him back, we showed everybody. You show them what your roster looks like and who they're going to be playing with, and Rink certainly was a big part of that because of his versatility on the basketball court. And I'll say this, when I look back on the tournament run, Andrew Morgan had some great moments for us, as good as he had all season. Braxton Mia had some really good moments for us out there as well at the 5 spot. And, again, even Cale on some small ball lineups as well. So I was really pleased with the production that our bigs gave us at the end of the year. But to get Rink back next season, it just brings a whole new element to your offense. I think, when you have a stretch, whatever it is, 4 or 5, that can knock down shots out there, it's just a game changer for your offense. And I think you saw that with our numbers a year ago.
With the NIL money that you get from the Crown, I know you don't get any, but
That ain't right, Amy.
I think you're doing okay.
Not with these tariffs. Sorry, go ahead.
How does that get divided? Is that does the Crown decide that? Do you decide that? Were that conversations that you had before? What does that look like?
Yeah, the players will split from this year's roster. Will split that evenly, and it's almost like think of it as a playoff bonus. For the guys that were part of it this year, from your scout team guys all the way, to your guys sitting out. Everybody had a part in this thing, and the guys that even, the Jeff Grace and Henry Burt and Nick and Braden and Justin, the guys that played the majority of their minutes in the scout team this year, that's invaluable what those guys do for your program. So, yes, it will be evenly split between the entire roster.
And then with the international guys, they don't get any, do they?
We'll figure that out. Yep.
What does this offseason look like for Barricade? What are the top priorities for you?
Well, he's in the weight room right now, and I think a big thing is with his body, getting that in shape, and the best of his ability. Obviously, he had 2 injuries this year. One early with the groin, and he struggled after that one. Got himself into great shape. Was playing his best basketball, and then obviously after the ankle injury, that really affected him. So the biggest thing is getting his body back right. And again, he fully understands that, and he's committed to. Getting back in there right away. We'll give a couple of the guys off. I'm going to meet with the strength and nutrition staff tomorrow, and we're going to set a plan up for the rest of the spring semester. But yes, we've got a couple guys that'll be mostly weight room stuff. We've got a couple guys that will do individual skill work. But for Burke, it's going to be a very important off season for him, and he's committed to it. And we've talked a lot about it. And first and foremost, it's getting healthy. It's getting his body back to where we can put a load on it. And again, I'm excited about what he brings to the table because of versatility and because of what he did when we were maybe playing our best basketball of the season, when I think we'd won 6 straight. And then obviously you saw the struggles when he went down, from there. But he's going to be an important part of what we do.
Some of the injuries had a lot to do with it, but how much did confidence play in with Barricade as well? It seemed like once he finally got his groove going, he gets hurt, and then it's almost like he had a reset.
Yeah, it's a big thing, Robin, and it's a big thing for everybody. Confidence as somebody that played this game at a pretty decent level, it really is, man. When you're confident, the game is a heck of a lot easier than when you're struggling in that area. So, he was a really confident player. That Ohio State game was so much fun, and, of course, the way it works out, he goes down, unfortunately, and then, had a couple tough ones. I think he had the 0 against Michigan, and now it's all of a sudden in your head, as opposed to hitting 3 against Ohio State, where you have that confidence. But, a lot of that was affected by you lose rhythm when you can't practice. You lose rhythm when you don't get the reps, full speed reps. You can do all you want on the treadmill and the Ultra G, the anti-gravity, but it just doesn't simulate, being out there on the court. And, it is confidence in this game, man. It's a funny thing. When you got it, you can rule the world, and when you don't, man, it's hard.
Some of the pictures and videos following Sunday's win, Juwan, there's so much joy on his face. What did it mean to you?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. And, when you look at the 2 tournaments we won this year, Bryce gets the MVP, and you can see the joy in his face and the meme of him holding the thing over his head. And then, Juwan, sitting on the floor with the ball and, the crown. I think he went out when he got back and he took the ball with him. But it's on his beanbag. So anyway, but what he meant, he was the heart and soul of this thing for the last couple of years. So for him to go out like that on top, is special for me because of everything that he did for this program. And, again, I know I talked about this after the game. You want to leave it in a better place than where he found it. And certainly Juwan and Bryce were a big part of that. And hopefully they set the tone for something that can, be sustained here and have success for a long time. But, those 2 guys are going to go down as 2 of the better ones in the program's history. Bryce having the all-time single season scoring record is pretty cool for him. But, again, Juwan, he was Mr. Everything for us. And the leadership, that's the thing that stands out to me, is his voice. And, when he came out of that locker room after getting hit in the melon, and, I put him right back in the game, and he was phenomenal down the stretch and did it in typical Juwan fashion. Now, the one thing that I'm really happy for Juwan, he shot over 34% from 3 and was unbelievable in that stretch run, and he came in here as a 20% three-point shooter in his 2 years at Alabama. So that's something, when you look at it, to become for your shooting percentage to go up by 14 percentage points speaks to the work that he put in. And again, just happy for him. And again, I'll do anything for that kid, for all the guys. Even Gavin and Nick were big parts of this thing for us as well, for their contributions. So you always, with the relationship part of it, try to help these guys as much as you can. But, Juwan, again, special year.
How much did the past week in Vegas change the way you'll perceive this and look back on this season?
Yeah, much, very fondly, I would say, Wilson. I don't know if that's a good word for it or not, but it is. Again, when you can win a championship, there's an NIT banner in Pinnacle Bank Arena. So, to win this event the way that we did, and, after a tough ending, we didn't want to go out that way. So, again, I give our guys all the credit. They deserve it, and they're the reason that we ended up with this thing here.
When you bring up the NIT banner, are you gonna hang a crown one?
We'll see. I mean, we'll see what administration does, but, again, when you look at the numbers and, the teams and the high majors and that Boise game, I'm telling you, Boise is a hell of a team. Might have been as good a game as we played all year, one of the most complete games, certainly, that we played over the course of the season. So, you beat, two Big 12 teams in that run and a Big East team. Now, some of them had lost a couple players, but, you still got to go out there and compete and win the game against talented basketball players. And even some of the guys that sat, I mean, you look at the kid, Malik Mack, maybe he doesn't have that role if there are other guys playing. You look at, the two guys that put up the huge numbers, Johnson and, certainly number 0 in the last game for UCF. I mean, those guys' roles expanded, and they took advantage of it, similar to what Cale did for us. And, it was a great way to cap off the year that ended very disappointing with that game against Iowa on senior night.
You mentioned Frager as one of the guys that progress and develop throughout the year. How much is the dial get turned up now during this offseason, and it's go time to do it?
Yep, he was one of the first guys in the gym yesterday getting a workout in. He's in there right now again. And I am really excited about Braden Frager and his future. He is a kid that can flat out score it, great athleticism. He was an elite offensive rebounder for us all year. And I've talked about this. There was times that we really did contemplate pulling his red shirt and putting him out there because of everything that he did, mostly his physicality. And then, after that middle of the year slide, then we won 6 in a row, and it just didn't feel like it was fair, at the end of the year to do that. So, yes, I could not be more excited for Braden Frager and the impact that he's going to have on our program.
Real quick with that, I guess with the way that the landscape of roster management, college basketball has come, do you change how you evaluate high school recruits? And then with that, redshirting? I mean, does redshirting become something you can even do anymore?
Well, we did it with a couple guys this year, obviously, with 3. With Justin was the other one, with Nick and with Braden. And, listen, a guy that we haven't talked a lot about is Quentin Rhymes. That kid's a hell of a basketball player. And, the way that we've always approached it is we're going to come in, we're going to compete. I never promise anything. I think if people do promise, guess what? They're promising the other guy that they're doing their calls with or their visits with as well. So I've never done that. And we're going to come in here and we're going to compete, and the guys that deserve the minutes are going to be on the floor. I just think that's the only way to do it and the fairest way to do it. So, our freshman, who we really like next year, is going to – you take that, James? You good? Okay. So, but, our guys, again, that's what I love is I think – the competitiveness, the iron sharpens iron, and, we're going to come out here and have good individual work and strength work the rest of this year and then start competing again in June. All right, thanks, guys.